Kopas. These two boxers are going to come out and put on a show that you will not forget. This is a crossroads fight for Michael Walchuk, who's coming off some serious losses, and Gary Kopas is also coming off a loss with our last card against MMA star Ryan Ford. So these two have something to prove. Without further ado, we'll go to Doug Denance to meet our fighters.
And now, let's meet the fighters.
Michael Walchuk making his very first appearance on Dekada Premier Fight Night. You know, Michael Walchuk 9-12 as a professional, but you know what? He's coming off a 10-fight losing streak, you know? But, you know, he said, look, I haven't taken this sport seriously. I was a prize fighter. I fought for money. I'd take fights anytime. You know, almost all of his losses have come from TKO, and he said it's the lack of stamina. He was exhausted. He couldn't get off the stool. You know, he's a self-coached fighter, and, you know, he's never had a full camp until this fight. So, you know, we're not just expecting Michael to come out and show his skills. We're looking to see the very best Michael Walchuk that anybody has ever seen. You know, you can attest to this, Nick, if you don't put in the camp, it's going to cause you some issues and some pain when you go in to compete.
Absolutely. I think it's crazy to not train, but some people do it. I wouldn't advise it.
Well, you know what? I guess we'll see. And we go inside the ring to Doug Denance to meet his opponent.
And his opponent,
Gary Hocus Pocus Kopas. I can't say that enough. I love that nickname. You know, he's 4-11 as a professional with a knockout, and but you know, he's coming off 4 losses himself, as I mentioned before, off of MMA star Ryan Ford, who came out and put on an impressive show of his power and his movement. And you know, Gary wasn't able to deal with that. Now, the one thing that he wanted to make sure everyone knew was he actually was injured for that fight, and he took the fight anyways because he's that kind of guy, and he wasn't able to put in the road work. He wasn't able to get that cardio, those runs in before the fight, and he was only trying to do swimming and sparring, and he said, look, I left it there, and I wasn't able to put on the show that I wanted. So again, these are two guys that are really coming out to put on a show. You know, Gary Kopas, 24, 193.5 pounds. Michael Walchuk, 32 years old, weighing in at 191 pounds. We got Saskatoon versus Kitchener, Ontario. You know, two guys that really need this win. They don't just want it, but they need this win. We go inside the ring for the formal fighter introductions. Here's Doug Denance.
ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 4 rounds of professional boxing in the cruiserweight division and is brought to you by Rival Boxing in Cochrane, the only rival boxing gym in Western Canada. And now, the official fighter introductions. In the blue corner, with a record of 9 wins, 12 losses, and no draws, he's 36 years old and stands 6 feet tall. He weighed in at 191.5 pounds. Fighting out of Regina, Saskatchewan, please welcome Michael Walchuk. And in the BMW Roofing and Siding red corner, his record is 4 wins, 11 losses, and 2 draws. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall. He weighed in at 193.5 pounds. Fighting out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, please welcome Gary Hocus Pocus Kopas. This bout will be contested under professional rules. The referee in charge is Mr. Joel Scobie.
The ever-professional Joel Scobie bringing our fighters in for their final instructions, before we get things underway. Now, these are two pure boxers. Two gentlemen that have grown up with boxing. They've lived boxing. They breathe boxing. And so we're going to see that technical ability and that proud, that real presence that boxers have inside these four corners. This is a 6-round battle between two fighters who need this win. Here we go. Kopas is really wanting to impose his will, but in the tape that I've seen on Michael, he loves the speed. He's got the power, but he loves to come in and catch his opponent before he's able to really do any damage. He really wanted to work on some of that counter punching.
Wow. Walchuk's got some power.
You can see the back tense up as that hip rotates when he throws his weight into it.
He's got a lot of athleticism. For a guy that doesn't train, he really knows how to hit.
Yeah, he's got those hands pretty low, though. I don't know if he's still just trying to call on that shot or, if that's part of being a self-trained, self-coached boxer, right?
I think he's got good sensitivity to know where his hands need to be, depending on how far away he's standing from his opponent. Because you'll notice his hands are up now, and, he just keeps his range and he peekaboos in and out. And, when he feels he can get away with it, he puts the hands right down.
Yeah, Gary Kopas, again, driving down the center. He's always coming right down the middle. His last fight with Ryan Ford, he did that too, but took a heck of a lot of punishment doing it. So, again, we'll see if he continues with that style. Kopas, interesting enough, actually did the opposite of what our two openers did, where he started with boxing and ended up trying MMA. And as an amateur, he came in and he went with a pretty respectable record. And, he actually took a fight on such short notice that he actually went into an MMA gym and asked them to show him a few moves. And so they showed him 3 of the basic ones, and he went into the cage and ended up winning by guillotine choke, which really shows his adaptability. And I'm hoping we continue to see that here.
What I'm noticing with Kopas is he's looking for those overhand rights. He's actually landed a few of them.
Oh, look at that. Exchange. Look at that flurry. But you know what? Walchuk goes, I didn't even feel it, We'll see if Kopas can put some power on.
Uh-oh. I think he's got an arm thing. His arm is hurt. Oh, and maybe his bicep might have torn. I think his bicep torn.
We got a doctor coming in.
Oh, his bicep tore. Yep. Yeah, that fight's over. This fight is done. Wow. Yeah, it's done. Absolutely. That's terrible.
We see Walchuk wants to continue. Joel Scobie having a discussion with our medical team. And this fight is stopped by doctor stoppage. Walchuk is unable to continue. He definitely has a serious injury, and that shows the toughness, of this man. But that's why we have the professional refs and doctors that we do. And here's that replay as he came in, and you see right there, you could see it pop.
Wow.
And the pain on his face, but the tenacity to want to continue is purely amazing.
Oh.
It's a horrible way to end a fight. I know Kopas did not want this fight to be stopped in this way, but it happens. That is combat sports, and I really want to throw my hat off to Michael Walchuk. You can see there the doctor checking it out, and he's in trouble. That bicep is not working in the way that it should.
Well, for those of you who are not familiar with that injury, there is no way around it but surgery. You have to get that reattached. That's not going to be a little short-term injury. It's going to take a lot of rehab.
Nick, that's going to be a disappointing end for a fighter who is proud of the fact that he's never been stopped. and really liked his chances against Gary Kopas and had a very good training camp.
Well, you know what? He showed, Walchuk showed a lot of skill early in that fight. I mean, that's a very unfortunate ending to what was turning out to be a good match. You know, we saw a good level of skill between, good exchange of skill between the two fighters. It's just very unfortunate to have it end this way and so prematurely.
I agree. And Walchuk clearly was willing to continue. Obviously, the physicians had a differing opinion. As a fighter yourself, have you ever seen a torn bicep in the ring, and have you ever seen a fighter actually be able to continue with that serious an injury?
That is actually the first time I've seen that injury happen in a fight, you know, especially live. But oh well, this is how it goes sometime.
It's a new one for me as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Joel Scobie stops the bout on the advice of the doctor at 2 minutes and 22 seconds of the first round. The winner by technical knockout from the red corner, Gary Hocus Pocus Kopas.
Wow.
Gary, let's get you over here for a minute. You know, Gary, never the way a fighter wants to win, by technical knockout due to an injury. You know, that's a tough thing to do. You know, let's let these fans know, you know, kind of what you do to deal with something like this.
Well, it's disappointing. I mean, I wanted to get some rounds in, and it's definitely disappointing that we didn't get a few rounds in. I mean, I was planning on ending it, but not like that.
You know, you got to throw your hat off to Walchuk. You know, he wanted to continue, but unfortunately, he just wasn't able to, and that's why we have our professional doctors at ringside. But, you know, what does this win mean for you? Where are we going next?
Just one fight at a time, like I said. I mean, I wasn't wanting to win or expecting to win like this, but I'll take it, I guess.
Hey, you know, your last fight, you were injured. You weren't able to put in the road work that you usually do in the cardio. You know, you seriously looked like you had some gas this time and you were ready to go. Was that a big factor in your training this time?
Yes, I just tried to use the upper body more than the legs, but that's why I wasn't trying to move so much and trying to use the arms a little more than usual.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it again for your winner, Gary Hocus Pocus Kopas!